Now we're going to talk about installing another virtual machine, and this time we're going to install a Linux-based machine. Now, during the course, we're going to be targeting different types of operating systems. So we're going to be targeting Windows, we're going to be targeting OS X, and we're also going to be targeting Linux machines. Now, we're going to install a Ubuntu machine, which is just a flavor of Linux, but it doesn't matter if a backdoor or if a file or if a method works against Ubuntu, which is a flavor of Linux, it's going to work against all Linux flavors. So it's going to work against Mint, it's going to work against Kali, it's going to work against Fedora, or any other Linux operating system. I'm using Ubuntu because it's the most popular one. So we're just going to download it from their page. So we're just going to go to Firefox, and I'm going to put the download link in the resources of the lecture, but you can just go to Google and look for Ubuntu download. Or if you just look for Ubuntu and go on download, Ubuntu desktop, that's the one we're looking for, and we want to download the latest one. And right here it's asking you if you want to donate to Ubuntu, because Ubuntu is free, so this is just a way of them to generate some money. So for now, I'm gonna set everything to 0. Scroll down and download it. Now the download will take some time. I'm not gonna download it at the moment because I've already did that. Once you download the file, you're gonna get a file with an ISO extension, as you can see in here. So I'm gonna cancel this and close this. And as you can see, I have that file already downloaded right here. And I can use that to install Ubuntu. So in this lecture, we're actually not using a ready image like we did with Windows and with Kali. So we're gonna be installing it the same way that you'd be installing it if you were to install it as a real machine. So we're gonna go to VirtualBox, we're gonna click on New, and we're gonna set the name of the machine, and we're gonna set that to Ubuntu. I'm gonna click on Continue, and then I'm gonna give it 1 GB of RAM. It should be plenty. I'm gonna continue, and then we're gonna create a new virtual hard disk. So I'm gonna click on Create, and we're gonna set this to the default as well. We're gonna let it to be dynamically allocated, so leaving it to the default. And I'm gonna increase this to 10 because Ubuntu won't let you install it on something that's less than 8. So I'm gonna increase the size of the hard disk that Ubuntu is gonna be installed to 10. I'm gonna create. And that's it. The machine is created for me right now. Before I start the machine, I'm gonna go to Settings. And I'm gonna set it to use NAT network like we did before. And if you don't see an option for the NAT network in here, check out my video in the resources on how to fix that issue. So I'm gonna click OK. And that's it. The machine is ready to go. I'm gonna click on Start. And the first thing that it's asking me to do is to specify where to boot this machine from. Now, we didn't get this before because all the machines that we used were already made. They were ready machines that we could just turn on straight away. This time, we're actually installing the machine as if it's a new machine. It's a fresh computer, and we're going to be installing it from the ISO image that we downloaded. So we're going to tell the virtual machine to boot from the ISO image that we downloaded. So it's in my downloads, and it's in a directory called Ubuntu. And this is it. It's right here. I'm gonna click on Open, and I'm gonna click on Start. And that's gonna boot from the ISO image that we downloaded earlier. And as you can see, it's giving me two options. The first one is just to try Ubuntu, and the next one is to install it. And we're interested into installing it, so we're gonna click on Install it. Now I'm not gonna ask it to download updates, and I'm not gonna tell it to install third-party software, because all I'm gonna use this machine for is literally just to try to hack into it and try my attacks. So I'm just gonna uncheck. I'm gonna keep these options unchecked, and I'm just gonna go to Continue. And I'm gonna tell it to install erase everything and install it on my hard disk. And remember, this is not gonna erase everything. It's literally gonna erase everything within the 10 gigabyte virtual hard disk that we gave it. So it's okay to click on install now. It won't wipe anything from your main machine. So it's just making sure that you wanna go ahead with this. I'm gonna say continue. It's gonna ask me where do I live. I'm gonna keep it at Dublin. Asking me for the keyboard layout. I'm gonna keep it the same way it's detecting it. And then it's asking for information about myself, so I'm just gonna put my name. I'm gonna set a password. And that's it. I'm gonna continue. And we're gonna wait for this to finish the install. Okay, now the installation is complete and it's asking me to restart. And I'm gonna restart. And now it's saying remove the disk and then hit enter, but we actually didn't use a physical disk. We booted from the ISO, so there's nothing to remove. We're just gonna hit enter. Now, as you can see, we have an installed box of Ubuntu. You can see my username, which was Zaid, and now it's asking me to input my password. I'm gonna put my password. It's the same password that I chose when I installed it. I'm gonna hit enter. And here we go. Now I have my Linux machine that we're gonna be testing methods against it. So if our target was using Linux and we wanted to test a certain method, then we're gonna be testing it against this virtual machine. And again, if a method works against Ubuntu Linux, then it's gonna work against all Linux types because they're essentially all the same operating system. Now, if you want to turn off this machine, all you have to do is just click in here and click on shutdown, and that'll turn off the virtual machine for you.